There's growing concern inside the Democratic Party, some of it being voiced out loud now, that many of its leaders are just too old. We see that generational feud playing out with DNC Vice Chair David Hogg and his plan to fund primary challenges against longtime incumbents in safe House seats in favor of younger candidates. Let's bring in NBC News correspondent, anchor of News Now Daily, Morgan Radford. Morgan, good morning. So is this about more than age, perhaps?
Yeah, it's interesting, Willie. They say it's about a lot more than age. It's also about life experience. We spoke to one candidate, for example, who says that, you know, her name is Kat Abugazelli, and she says that it's more than about just age. It's also about shifting the style and the outreach of the Democratic Party. You may have seen Kat specifically online and viral videos describing right-wing social media coverage, but now she's introducing herself to Chicago voters as a candidate for Congress in a bid to change, as we talked about, more than just the age, but also the face of the Democratic Party.
The number is just fallen off the cliff for Democrats.
It's a nationwide fight.
But our generation refuses to back down
Over the future of the Democratic Party.
The dangers of older leaders staying in office too long.
One organization pledging $20 million to help younger Democrats push incumbents out of safe House seats, while at least 4 younger primary opponents have launched campaigns to do the same. Democratic candidate Kat Abugazelli is running in the Democratic primary for Illinois' 9th congressional district. Thank you. And wants to be part of that generational change.
People talk about age. I think it's more about experiences. Most of our Congress didn't go through school shootings as a kid. They don't have to worry about out-of-pocket costs. They probably own their homes.
A recent Harvard poll shows just 23% of young Americans approve of congressional Democrats' job performance, a number that's dropped by nearly half since 2020. But some political experts warn that changing Congress itself is easier said than done for both parties.
It's harder to raise money. It's harder to get key endorsements. It's just harder to convince voters to trust you. You're going to have to work extra hard to get your message out there and to convince voters that you're competent, capable, and going to do a good job.
Still, many voters are hungry for change.
We need young people. You know, I'm a boomer, and look what we've created.
Which is why Abugazelli is leveraging her viral fame, with nearly 30 million views across social media for her commentary on conservative politics.
What if we didn't suck?
To build what she calls a different style of political campaign.
For our fundraising this quarter, for instance, we have a goal of $600,000. And if we hit it, we're not raising a cent more than that. Every dollar after that gets donated to local charities.
So you're going to stop and you will accept no more money?
Yep.
What else are you doing differently? What are you doing to sort of change the system, politics as usual?
All of our campaign-sponsored events are accessible no matter your income, and our entry fee was a box of tampons or pads, which are donated to Chicago's Period Collective. We want a lot of our events to help with mutual aid and community initiatives. Politicians choose to not spend their money this way. They could be doing this the entire time.
Fresh ideas for a party where many are frustrated.
Do you think that the Democratic Party specifically, or American politicians more generally, need to see younger candidates?
Absolutely.
Why?
100%. Because the world has changed drastically, and we need to have people that are representative of those changes to stand up for the future that they're building.
So currently, Kat is running in an open field where 4 other primary opponents have filed thus far. In a statement, one of her challengers, State Senator Laura Fine, pointed out that Abugazelli is not from the Chicago area and just moved there less than a year ago, adding in part, quote, "This moment requires someone who didn't just show up and has the guts and experience to take on Donald Trump and his MAGA cronies." Now, the other primary candidates did not respond to NBC News by deadline. And for her part, Kat does argue that her family has roots in Chicago. It was the first place her father moved when he immigrated from the Middle East. And she also says her district includes immigrant and student populations, all new to the city, just like her, John.
So, Morgan, we talk a lot about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and her, of course, famed primary win over Joe Crowley back in 2018 is, you know, and she obviously has charted the path of real stardom with questions of her, what she could do next going forward. Is that the model that's looking to be replicated here in Chicago?
It's so funny. I remember interviewing AOC like the day after she won, and I think Kat even acknowledges, look, she is a role model. Obviously, look at what she did. But she also says I'm the first Kat, right? She was the first AOC, but she does think she has enough volunteers to follow that model of knocking on every door there in her district by Election Day. But one thing that's interesting is that while she says the bulk of her campaign is door to door, we can't ignore the fact that her social media virality has done very well, right? And political experts say that when it comes to the money, generations of candidates like her, these younger candidates, are able to actually bring in that type of money because they're getting a lot of these out-of-state donors because of their viral fame, and that's not something the older generation has.
Yeah, let's dive in a little more on that. I mean, AOC, again, a trailblazer here. She was so good on social media and became sort of a star and has proven effective getting out her message that way. It does feel like that's part of the generation gap here. Younger people are just more fluent and well-versed with social media. This is a great example of that.
But it also explains that that's not it, right? Like, you can get likes, but that doesn't mean you're going to be a good candidate. And it certainly doesn't mean you're going to be an effective politician. That's something that a lot of them say that they know, which is why, it's like real life. Both of these spheres have to coexist. You have to sort of get people interested online, but you have to inspire them to action in real life.